Imagine waking up one morning and realizing your body no longer moves the way it used to. Bending to tie your shoes feels stiff. Walking upstairs feels heavier than it should. Sitting too long makes your hips ache. And suddenly simple movements remind you that aging is creeping into your joints faster than you expected. Now imagine hearing that one specific stretch, done daily for just a few minutes, can begin reversing that stiffness, restoring your natural movement, and making your hips feel years younger, because that is exactly what countless doctors and physiotherapists quietly recommend to protect mobility and extend longevity. For a moment, think about how often you sit during the day, at the table, in the car, at work, on the couch. Hours pass, and your hips stay in the same folded position, yet those same hips are designed for walking, rotating, bending, stabilizing, and absorbing impact. So when they stop moving the way nature intended, everything else in the body begins to compensate. Throughout history, the people who lived active, long lives shared something in common. They kept moving, not intensely, not with complicated gym routines, but with simple daily practices that maintained flexibility, circulation, and strength around their joints. Modern science now shows that hip mobility is one of the strongest predictors of how independently someone will live as they age. Because when hips become stiff, the lower back works harder, the knees take unnecessary load, walking speed slows, and balance becomes fragile, which increases the risk of falls and injuries that often change life forever. Most people assume stiff hips are just a normal part of getting older, but in reality, they are often the result of years of underuse combined with shortened hip flexor muscles that adapt to constant sitting. Those tight muscles start pulling the pelvis forward, changing posture, locking the lower back, and making every movement feel heavier than it should. When someone tries to stand up straight and feels tension in the lower back, it is often not actually the back that is the problem. It is the hip flexors refusing to allow the pelvis to return to its natural, healthy position. Over time, the body treats that stiffness as normal. The nervous system remembers tightness, and you begin to feel older than your age. Even though the problem is not primarily aging, it is lack of mobility training. This is where the simple daily hip stretch becomes powerful. Not because it is magical, but because it works with the body's biology. Muscles and fascia behave like a sponge. When there is movement and gentle stretching, circulation improves, hydration increases inside the tissues, and synovial fluid lubricates the hip joint more effectively. When you hold a stretch and breathe calmly, the nervous system receives signals that it is safe to release tension, and those protective muscle contractions soften. Over time, you retrain your body to return to its natural range of motion, which makes walking lighter, sitting easier, and everyday activities feel smoother again. There is even research showing that maintaining good hip mobility is closely tied to longevity because it allows people to stay active, independent, and physically capable through later years of life. The stretch itself is often called a deep hip flexor release. And although it looks simple, the effect can be profound when done correctly and consistently. Start by placing one knee on the floor and the other foot in front, as though you are in a gentle lunge. Keep your back tall and your chest lifted. And before moving forward, lightly tighten the glute of the leg that is on the floor. As you slowly shift your hips forward, you should feel a mild pull across the front of the hip and thigh. Not a sharp pain, not pressure in the lower back, just a deep, steady stretch. Rest one hand on a chair or wall if you need support, and allow your breath to guide the movement, inhaling slowly for 4 seconds, and exhaling gently for 6, letting the tension melt away gradually. Hold that stretch for about 30 to 45 seconds, then change sides, and repeat 2 or 3 times per side if comfortable. If the kneeling version feels difficult, there are easy modifications that make it accessible to almost everyone. You can stand beside a chair, place one foot behind you with the toe touching the floor, and gently shift your weight forward while keeping your torso tall and your back leg slightly straight. You can also place extra cushioning under the knee, use both hands for balance, and shorten the range of motion until your body adapts. The goal is not to force the stretch aggressively. The goal is to invite the muscles to lengthen slowly and safely. Over time, as the hips begin to open, the body responds by moving more fluidly and naturally, which often reduces pressure that people have felt in their backs for years. Many people make the same mistakes when they first try this stretch. They lean forward with their chest instead of shifting from the hips. They overarch their lower back in an attempt to go deeper. They hold their breath, bounce through the movement, or push through pain thinking more intensity means faster results. In reality, the opposite is true. The more gently and patiently the stretch is practiced, the more the nervous system relaxes and allows real change to happen. When the glute of the back leg stays slightly engaged, it protects the lumbar spine and turns the stretch exactly where it needs to be. The front of the hip, which is where years of sitting often create tightness. If someone commits to doing this daily stretch, realistic changes begin in stages. During the first week, the hips may feel lighter, and walking may feel smoother. Within 2 to 3 weeks, many people notice their lower back tension easing because the pelvis sits more naturally. After 1 or 2 months, everyday tasks like squatting, bending, or getting out of a car feel easier and more controlled. Over the long term, this simple routine becomes an investment in independence. Because healthy hips reduce the risk of falls, prevent unnecessary strain on the knees, and support better posture, which makes the entire body feel younger and stronger. For even better results, combining the stretch with gentle strength work around the hips makes a powerful difference. Simple glute activation exercises, light walking, and core control movements help reinforce the new mobility you create. Stretching opens the door, but strength keeps the door open, allowing your body to stabilize and support that mobility during daily activities. It is like oiling an old machine and then gently using it again to keep everything running smoothly. Of course, there are times when caution is important. Anyone with recent hip surgery, severe arthritis, flare-ups, numbness, or shooting nerve pain, or medical conditions that affect the bones should speak with a healthcare professional before starting. Pain should never be pushed through. Stretching is meant to relieve tension, not create new problems. Listening to the body is one of the most powerful tools for long-term health. Beyond stretching, lifestyle habits also shape hip longevity. Standing up every 30 to 45 minutes, walking regularly, drinking enough water to keep tissues hydrated, and choosing foods that reduce inflammation all contribute to healthier joints. Movement is nourishment for the body, and the more often you move in gentle, varied ways, the more alive your joints feel. The most inspiring part is realizing that your hips are not permanently old or worn out just because they feel stiff. They are adaptable, intelligent tissues that respond beautifully when they receive attention and care. The body wants to heal. It wants to restore freedom of motion, and it rewards consistency more than intensity. Even if someone has ignored mobility for years, starting today still matters, because every stretch sends a new signal that change is possible. So as you try this daily hip stretch, think of it not as a chore, but as a long-term gift to yourself, a small ritual that protects your independence, keeps your steps light, and helps your body move with the ease and confidence you deserve. Do it slowly, breathe deeply, stay patient, and give yourself at least 30 days to see what happens. Many people are surprised by how much younger they feel when their hips finally unlock. And if you are starting today, commit to it, stay consistent, and watch how your body responds, because sometimes the most powerful longevity secrets are the simplest habits we choose to repeat every day.